Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome you to the official Monster Energy Supercross pre-show fueled by Monster Energy Drink, coming at you live from Cowboys Stadium. I'm Ashley Phillips, along with my co-host and legend, Jim Holley. Jim, when you talk about 2012, you think of two words, in my view: intense and unpredictable. We learned just how intense Eli Tomac has been in the West Coast over the last 6 rounds, but it was very unpredictable last Saturday night.
Well, and a lot of people thought, Ashley, that maybe it was a little bit too intense last week. I mean, he was running third, and third's not a bad place to finish, even if Dean Wilson's leading and he wins it. You got a 22-point lead. You're only going to lose 5 points, and then you're going to have a long break. But unfortunately for Eli Tomac, he's sitting second in the points now. Wilson's leading on that West. But, you know, I'm excited to be here in Dallas, the start of that East Coast. And, you know, there are so many guys in this East Coast that can win this thing. And there are so many that I got to even put my glasses on and go over my notes. I mean, look at these, the field here.
And we won't see those West Coast guys again until April 21st. Right now, Dean Wilson 2 points ahead of Eli Tomac. 9-week break. East Coast kicks off here tonight, Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah, and you mentioned the guy the leading it out is obviously the defending champion, Barcia. You know, he had 3 wins last year. He pretty much had a good ride last year, you know, had some problems, but the guy who sits in 4th in the points last year, I'm talking about Blake Baggett, 2 wins. He had some problems in Jacksonville. He didn't get any points in Jacksonville. I'm moving on down to the guy Ken Roxon, West Coast last year. He's going to make the transition over to the East Coast. You know, he's got a problem with his wrist. That's the key, to see how his wrist is. You know, although he did win last year, 1 round in Vegas last year. Kyle Cunningham, another West Coast rider, coming over to the East. He finished up 8th last year, his best 3rd in Las Vegas. And then Justin Bogle, the rookie, the teammate to Barcia. I'm really curious to see how he's going to do here in Dallas, because, I mean, I watched him at Paul at the last National. He finished 2nd, I believe. He was definitely on the box that second moto. He rode really well. Big things from him. Darren Durham, he's riding for a pro circuit. Mitch Payton on the Monster Energy Pro Circuit team. I think that's a good fit for him. We'll see what he does. You know, it's just one of those things that last year his best was a 6th in Arlington. He missed a lot of rounds because of injury. Then you're dropping down to Malcolm Stewart. He's on a new ride this year, a KTM. His teammate, Matt Moss, finished 3rd on that KTM, so we know that KTM is capable of finishing on the podium. And last year here in Arlington, Malcolm Stewart finished up 4th. He did not have a podium last year. He had a couple 4ths, but he missed that podium. Blake Wharton, another rider that could possibly win here. His best ride, a couple 3rds last year, but his 3rd was, one of them was here in Arlington. He's on a new team. He's riding on that Suzuki team. PJ Larson, he finished 9th last year. He missed a lot of the rounds last year also. Well, it'll be interesting to see. He's Malcolm Stewart's teammate on that KTM over there. That's that Australian KTM team. And then Matt Lemoyne, he finished up 6th in the points, so we'll see. Interesting how Matt Lemoyne does. I know Matt last year, he says, I want to win this East Coast Championship, but unfortunately finishing up 6th. It's going to be a great night of racing. I don't know who's going to win this thing.
Yeah, me neither. You know, the East Coast is more stacked than we've ever seen it before, and tonight the racing is going to be intense. We want to hear your thoughts on the East Coast as well, so make sure you join our conversations. Twitter.com/Supercross Live, Facebook.com/Supercross Live. We will be reposting your opinions. You know, it's anyone's game tonight. This is what round 1 is for the East Coast, to gauge where they are and see where they have come over the last year. But when you talk about the big bike class, these are the big boys. We saw a lot of good things from Chad Reed last week. He said he finally put in a solid 20 laps.
Yeah, and that was good for Chad. You know, he was really happy about that, saying, you know, I'm with Villapoto on the last 18th and 19th lap, and the only thing is that last lap, I think maybe he left the door open. Villapoto went underneath and was, you know, Chad thought he might have been a little aggressive, but hey, we're moving back east. There's a championship online, but the interesting thing is to see if Villapoto can keep it going. You know, he's already got back-to-back wins. Can he make it 4 wins here in Dallas? It'll be interesting to see. The track here in Dallas traditionally, you know, it's in a dome. Thank God it's in a dome. It's raining outside. It's going to be great racing. But Ryan Dungey, another guy, he finished up 3rd. He'd been off the podium a couple times. He had a couple 4ths this last round. So it was nice to see him back on the podium. But you know, James Stewart, what do you say? I mean, the guy is the fastest man on the planet, but he went down those whoops, unfortunately, and lost a lot of points. He finished up 15th last week in San Diego. He's going to have to start making some things happen here as we start moving to the east.
A lot of people pulling for Kevin Windham as we head into the south also. What do you think it's going to take for Kevin Windham to get that breakthrough ride?
Well, I think for a guy like Kevin Windham, he had that breakthrough ride last week. He was running up there in the front. I mean, I believe he was at 4th at one point, and then he went down and had his problems in the whoops. And Kevin's really good in the whoops. I think as we get closer to home, and meaning his home, New Orleans, we're going there on April 14th. We'll be there. That'll be a big venue for him, as well as Houston, Texas.
Another consistent ride last weekend in San Diego from the number 100 Dodge Motorsports Hart and Huntington Sequan Casino rider Josh Hansen got a top 5 finish.
Yeah, that was good. You mentioned Sequan, one of their sponsors. That was right down the street there on Interstate 8 there. But Josh Hansen with that 5th, that was a great ride for him. But you got to remember, if you're Josh Hansen, you got to remember that you had a couple gifts. And what I mean by that is James Stewart went down, Kevin Windham went down. That 5th could have been 7th. But Josh has been riding great this year. I mean, he's been consistent in that top 10. He's had a couple 10ths, you know. He's in the points in the top 10. Everything's going good for him, but he's going to have to get up on that box. I know Kenny Watson and Kerry Hart and everything, that's one of their goals, is to get one of their riders up on the top of this podium.
And it's definitely achievable in 2012. When we talk about the dirt here in Arlington, Texas, a lot of riders are nervous it's going to be a little bit slick. How do they adjust their riding style?
Well, it's one of those things that you got to go talk to Kevin Windham, because he's got really good throttle control when it gets a blue groove and hard and dry, slippery. The good thing about it is, you know, it's not going to be too extremely muddy. The Dirtworks guys have already done their work. They've got the moisture in here. You got to remember there's going to be no sunlight or wind to help dry this thing out, so you got to be really cautious on how much water you do put into the soil. But as the guys get out there for practice and the time practice, and by the time that main event comes around, it's going to be hard, dry, and slippery, and you better watch and make sure you hit all your marks. And you know, when you turn the throttle on, you got to roll it on, and you just got to be careful out there. I mean, because this track can bite you at any time.
And we're going to keep you posted live all day long, so make sure you join us, supercrossonline.com, Supercross Live. We're going to have practice sessions. We're going to have all kinds of good information here. Jim, thanks for joining me this morning. A lot of great racing in 2012.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Ashley, for having me, and I think it's going to be a good show tonight. You know, like I said, we talked a little bit. You saw my notes and how long I had on that. I mean, all 10 of those guys that I had mentioned can win this thing here in Dallas. We'll just have to see.